This video is to demonstrate a few things in Activity 1 that starts on page 67 for Chapter 4. This is creating a hospital brochure. It's commonly called a trifold brochure. This also is demonstrating your ability to insert images, so we'll start with searching for some images. And I'm going to open up a browser. And I'm in Bing, so I can use Bing to find images. You can use Google to find images, and I'm going to look for hospital. And so you want to find 4 images that you will save to a folder. You'll do one that's a hospital, like the front of a hospital, one that looks like a map to somewhere. It doesn't have to be a hospital necessarily, a chart, and then one that looks like someone in surgery or some doctors or something like that. So I'm just going to take any of them. Now be sure you don't right-click on here and save it. Instead, open up the image by clicking on it. Then right-click, Save Image As. Excuse me. And then create a folder, and you can name it Chapter 4, Activity 1, whatever you want to name it. And I would rename this Hospital Front, so you know what it is of, or just hospital. And be sure that it is a JPEG or a GIF or GIF image. Excuse me. Okay, and then you would find the other 3 images and save them to your folder to use later. To get started with your project, I'm in Publisher. I'm going to go to File and New and choose a built-in. You don't have to do it this way, but it's probably the easiest. And we're looking for a brochure. And I would just choose the first one. You can put the business information in here. You can change the default color theme. There are numerous things over here on the right that you can do. You do not have to do any of that. You can leave it as it is. And we're only going to do one side of the brochure. We're not going to do the inside information on this one. So I'm going to right-click, click on the second page, right-click, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Always be sure, if you're using a template, to delete any information that you're not going to use. Okay, I've done instructions 1 and 2. So now I'm on instruction 3, where I'm going to place the hospital image in the far right column of the brochure. And you can do this a couple of ways. You can click on this image, right-click, and you can choose to change the picture. Or you can just delete it and insert your picture there, which we'll do in a minute, so you can see both ways. I can do it through a Bing search, so I could have just searched right there and not saved them into a folder. That's up to you. And then browse. And I'm going to go to my folder. And I'm going to choose my hospital front. And you can see that it put it right into that frame there. I'm going to expand that so that it goes all the way across, because it looks better for that size image that I have chosen. And then I'm just going to come up with an off-the-wall hospital name. And I may want to resize that, as it doesn't really fill that real well. It's important that your size of your fonts are appropriately sized. I can also change, once you have something, a placeholder or a frame clicked, you can make changes to it. I can change the word art style and make that a word art. It isn't right now, but I could certainly make it that way. I could also fill it around it if I wanted to, or put a frame around it, such as that. You'll notice when I did that, be sure you watch for that it now is not all showing. I can very easily, back on the Home tab, I can very easily decrease the font size until it does fit, maybe. There we go. I should have selected them first. That's kind of cool the way that looks though. Okay, then I can delete any boxes that I'm not going to use. If you want to use them, you can, but if you're not going to use them, take them out of there. Then down here, I don't need a tagline. Although probably if this were a real business, we might want to put it on here somewhere, and that'd probably be a good place to do so. Okay, and then I'm going to expand this box because I do want to put an address in here, and I'm just going to make one up. Also, keep in mind that you can press F9 at any time on any placeholder, and you can zoom in to what you're typing so you can see it better. Okay, and I can resize that as well. And if I don't like the centering, which is something that we will be learning about, if I don't like the centering, if I don't want it left aligned, I can make it center aligned instead. Can also adjust my picture and move it up so it's a little more centered between the two. And I have finished for the instructions on that side. In the middle column of the brochure, you need to add the map. So I'm first going to remove this because I don't really need that for this purpose anyway. Okay, then I'm going to go up to Insert Pictures, and my picture's going to be the map. And put it about right there. I can always adjust it later. Now notice when you are moving it though, notice the alignment that look kind of pink as you move things over. It will allow you to, or give you some help in aligning things the way they should be. Place the map image in the middle column. Create a text box with a list of at least 3 reasons this location is convenient. So I'm going to type here convenient location. And down here, I'm going to take out one of these boxes that I don't need. Right-clicking using Publisher is very helpful, so you may want to keep that in mind. And I'm going to give 3 reasons that it is a convenient location. I can just say close to highway, close to medical center, and maybe close to pharmacy. And I can resize those as well. Make them larger if I want. I can also make this larger and make it bold. I can even I can even make it different colors, fill in the text box if I want to do that. If you go to drawing tools, now you're in your shapes. Here are some of the shape styles. If I want to put, I can use a filled one. Move this up closer to it. Play around with it until you get it like you want it to. The more you experiment with the software, the better off you'll be. And I'd like to see that a little brighter, so I'm just going to use some plain font on it and bold it. I may even change the font to something that I think looks a little more reader friendly. And if I want to use the space a little better, not have so much white space, although it's not bad to have white space unless you've got, sometimes it does get attention, but unless you've got rivers of white space, and then you don't want that. Okay, then we're going to the left column and we're going to place the image from the inside of the hospital in the left column at the top. So I'm going to scroll over. And I'm going to remove this because I don't need it. Then I'm going to add an image. I'm going to make this text box a lot smaller. I think I will use this text box. Don't get rid of anything that you think you might use. Notice that it put this first image over here on the work area, or sometimes they call it the scratch area. And you can remove that, but you can put things on there for future use all you want to. And I'm going to insert that image. It's just some doctors performing surgery, and it's huge. So to resize, I want to keep it in proportion. So to do that, you can hold the shift key down while you resize, or just always drag from top bottom to the top left, or bottom right to the top left. Hover your mouse over and resize that way. That will keep the proportion. You especially want to be sure you keep proportion when you're looking at faces. 6 brief phrases that describe the reason a person would want to choose this hospital. So I'm going to say number 1 would be trained personnel, award-winning doctors, convenient. Even though we've mentioned that before, I'm just off the top of my head trying to think of some things why you would choose this particular one. Short waiting list. That's always a good one. And anyway, so you want to do those. You may want to change the fonts. Remember not to use more than 2. So I would stick with the same kind of fonts for your lists, and then maybe the titles would be a different font. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to move this down. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly like this. I just need to be able to see that you have demonstrated all of the things that you've learned in this one. Why us? And I'm going to increase that size to about 36. Move that one down a little bit. Be sure it's not cutting off anything. I noticed it was kind of cutting off that bottom part. And I maybe want that centered. I can also format the text in there with an effect. I could do a shadow. There we go. And of course that's up to you, or I could just do this, and you can even bold. Well, it is bolded, so that's not going to do very well. Maybe on a dark color, you want to be sure, more than anything else, you want to be sure that they can read what you have put there. Let me put in a dark color and see what happens. And you want to avoid using too many dark colors like that if you're going to print, unless you're going to have it laser printed. So you want to consider that as well. Also, rotation. You can use rotation by hovering your mouse over the top. When you get the half arrow, you can rotate it. I think it wanted you to do one rotated so you could demonstrate that you know how to do that. Most of the colors that it will give you choices of when you're in here are from the template. So these are already choices that design specialists have determined go well with, not with your pictures necessarily, but with, because you chose those, but with the template, such as the strip of orange that was already down at the bottom. Of course, you can remove that. You don't have to leave that on there. One other thing that it wanted you to do was to add some special touches to the picture, and you can do that once you have the picture selected. You can do that by clicking on any of these special effects. And then, of course, save it and upload it. And that will be the last video for this week, but you may certainly ask any questions. Hopefully that showed you enough of Publisher to start to begin to be able to use it. You do want to explore it, try new things, work on different methods of doing things. There are a number of different methods with all Microsoft products. So, the end of this video.